So both prior theory and actually our present data with a current prototype with almost 600,000 data points is showing that marginal time actually leads to exponential returns. So in order to explain that, I have to get a little more concrete about what this project is.
Just reminding listeners that exponential doesn't just mean like an enormous amount. It means more than linear. So go ahead.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so we've made this book on quantum computation, and we've chosen that topic in part because that's a topic that has a lot of notation, a lot of details. You need to know that, okay, the bottom left-hand corner of this particular transformation matrix has this value in order to really make sense of the topic. So the first chapter takes about 4 hours to read, and it contains 112 details that we track your memory of. And we kind of follow up, and it's an interactive reading experience where as you're reading, you get these little prompts, are you remembering this? If you're not, we're going to kind of come back to you a little sooner. And then we come back the next day and we kind of jog your memory on the stuff you're having trouble with and so on. And you kind of start this practice. What's interesting about it is that the practice actually spaces out over time. So initially it'll be every day, then every 3 days, then maybe every week, and every month, and so on.
When you say every day, you mean the prompts to check your knowledge, the feedback.
That's right. And that isn't a cost which is equivalent to rereading the book. In fact, it's very quick. It's 5 or 6 seconds per question. I said there's about 112 of them. And so it costs 10 to 15 minutes for readers to do each of those repetitions. And actually, just last week, I did the first kind of large analysis on the efficacy of this thing. And by the time people get to the 5th repetition, which costs 60, 70, maybe 80 minutes, kind of depends on where you are, people are able to leave the book alone for a month, have a month pass where they're not engaging with it. They come back, and after a month, engage with those 112 questions and get them right. And that's really exciting and really interesting. But maybe what's even more exciting about it to me is that the marginal cost from the 4th to the 5th repetition is actually the same as the marginal cost from the 3rd to the 4th, as the marginal cost from the 2nd to the 3rd. Actually, it's slightly less. So not only does it take less time to get from a week to 2 weeks and 2 weeks to a month, not only does it take the same amount of time to get from a week to 2 weeks and 2 weeks to the month, it actually takes slightly less time for each of those steps.